You know, usually when you download a piece of software to help you do your job, there's this fundamental expectation of simple utility.
Right, exactly.
Like a hammer. You pick up a hammer, you hit a nail, and well, the hammer doesn't do anything else. It certainly doesn't, look back at you.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect your hammer to be checking your ID.
Exactly. But what if you picked up that hammer and you found out it actually was secretly checking your ID? What if it was scanning your surroundings and quietly phoning home to its manufacturer without you ever knowing?
It's a pretty terrifying thought for any developer.
It really is.
Yeah.
And today, we are looking at how a hidden piece of code sparked this massive, almost cyberpunk-style clash between two absolute tech giants, which are Alibaba and Anthropic.
Yeah, and we're pulling from a really fascinating stack of sources for this one.
We've got recent reports from Reuters, CNBC, the Chinese financial outlet Youkai, some very revealing social media posts, and an absolutely explosive Reddit thread.
Which is where so much of this actually started. And the information in these sources, I mean, it goes far beyond a standard software bug or, a simple licensing disagreement.
Right.
We are looking at a scenario where the very tools developers use to build the future are being weaponized, heavily obfuscated, and deployed in what looks like a massive intelligence gathering operation.
Yeah, it's wild. So our mission today is to really unpack this high-stakes collision. We're going to explore how a tiny hidden piece of code sparked accusations of massive intellectual property theft on one side and then covert corporate surveillance on the other.
Two very intense, very different accusations.
Completely. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting on July 10th, Alibaba officially prohibited its employees from using Anthropic's Claude Code Assistant in any of their workplace environments.
And what's fascinating here is that this incident perfectly encapsulates the rapidly deepening rift and really the absolute zero-trust environment that has developed between U.S. and Chinese artificial intelligence companies.
Zero trust really is the defining phrase here.
It is. This whole situation is basically a microcosm of a much larger global tension, and it's playing out directly inside the command line interfaces of everyday developers.
Yeah, right on their screens. And to understand why an enterprise the size of Alibaba just slammed the door so aggressively on this tool, we kind of have to look at the discovery of the code itself.
Because Anthropic definitely did not announce this in a press release.
No, definitely not. It was found by a lone internet sleuth, and the technical mechanisms reveal, like the extraordinary lengths taken to conceal it. So we are talking about Claude Code version 2.1.91, which was released back on April 2nd.
Right, and sitting quietly inside that seemingly routine update was something highly anomalous.
What exactly did they find?
Well, according to the sources, a Reddit user named LegitMichael777 started poking around under the hood of the software, and they exposed some hidden detection logic.
Okay, detection logic for what?
So LegitMichael777 discovered that the software was silently running specific checks on the user's local environment. Basically, it was scanning the system's time zone settings, looking exclusively for Asia Shanghai or Asia Urumqi.
Wow, so it's explicitly profiling for users based within mainland China.
Exactly, but it actually goes deeper than just time zones.
How so?
The code was actively parsing the user's proxy configurations, too. So it was scanning the network URLs for specific Chinese domains and known AI lab host names.
So it wasn't just asking what time is it. It was mapping out where the user was physically located and analyzing their corporate network infrastructure.
Yeah, the proxy scanning is really the critical element here. The software was attempting to determine if the developer was routing their traffic through specific enterprise networks.
Basically trying to identify if they were operating from within a rival AI laboratory.
Exactly.
Now, I have to push back on the novelty of this for just a second because, companies check locations all the time for terms of service compliance.
Right. Geo-blocking is super common.
Yeah, it's a standard practice, especially with export controls on AI technology right now. But if this was just a routine compliance check to ensure someone wasn't using the software in a restricted region, hiding it using malware-level obfuscation makes literally no sense.
It really doesn't.
I mean, this sounds less like a compliance check and more like a car rental agency, I don't know, secretly wiring a GPS tracker deep into the dashboard wiring harness instead of just putting a highly visible tracker right on the keychain.
Oh.
Why the cloak and dagger?
Well, that car rental analogy highlights the exact friction point for enterprise security teams. Because it wasn't merely the fact that Anthropic was checking for Chinese time zones.
Wow.
It was the aggressive obfuscation techniques they employed to do it. They utilized steganography.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics of that because Using steganography inside a commercial developer tool is like an incredibly aggressive tactic.
It's basically unheard of for standard commercial tools.
Yeah. They didn't just hide the script in a deeply nested folder somewhere. They used Unicode steganography embedded directly inside system prompts. For anyone managing a corporate network, that raises massive red flags.
Oh, absolutely. Consider the implementation here. Steganography is basically the practice of concealing a message within another non-secret medium.
Like hiding a message inside a picture or something.
Right. And in this context, the sources detail how the mechanism embedded invisible markers using incredibly subtle Unicode character variations.
So you literally couldn't see it.
Exactly. To a human developer inspecting the system prompt on their terminal screen, the text looks completely standard. It reads normally.
But the machine reads it differently.
Yes. On the back end, when that text is parsed by Anthropic systems, those invisible characters, things like zero with spaces or homoglyphs, they form a readable programmatic signature.
It's essentially a digital watermark, one that passes right through standard text parsers without triggering any visual alarms for the developer using it.
Exactly. But that was actually only the first layer of the spycraft.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, yeah. The actual detection logic itself, the script executing those time zone and proxy checks, that was obfuscated using XOR encryption with the key 91.
Okay, that crosses a major line.
Yeah.
I mean, using XOR encryption is a tactic we usually see in malware analysis, not in an AI coding assistant.
Yeah, the use of XOR encryption fundamentally changes the intent from, basic telemetry to outright evasion.
For sure. Because XOR or exclusive OR is a bitwise operation, right?
Right. If a security researcher at an enterprise company wants to monitor what a new tool is doing, they might run a simple text search like a grep command across the software's binary.
Looking for suspicious strings like Shanghai or proxy.
Exactly. But by applying a bitwise XOR operation against the text using that numeric key 91, the binary footprint of the code is mathematically inverted.
So the text is just totally scrambled at the machine level, which means anyone running standard security sweeps finds absolutely nothing but random bytes.
Yep. The application only unscrambles itself in memory at runtime to execute the surveillance, and then scrambles the data right back up again.
Which is exactly the kind of behavior that triggers incident response teams. It totally prevents automated enterprise security tools from raising any red flags during routine static analysis.
Exactly.
I mean, if you are going to use XOR encryption and invisible Unicode simply to check a local time zone, you aren't just conducting routine maintenance. You are actively hiding from a very specific, highly sophisticated adversary.
You definitely don't build a mechanism like that by accident.
No, you don't. This extreme level of evasion suggests Anthropic was terrified of whoever was using their tool. And that pivots us directly into why Anthropic claims they were forced to build this backdoor in the first place.
Right. This is where the narrative shifts sharply from allegations of covert surveillance to the reality of a massive industrial-scale scraping operation.
Because Anthropic didn't just say silent when legit Michael 777's forensic breakdown blew up on Reddit, did they?
No, they responded pretty quickly.
Yeah. We have a public explanation from an Anthropic employee, Tariq Shipar, who actually works on the Claude Code team. He posted on X that this hidden XOR encrypted code was, in his words, an experiment that they launched back in March.
And he claimed its primary purpose was to prevent account abuse from unauthorized resellers.
Right, and crucially, to protect their models against something called distillation.
Which is the key word in all of this. Also, based on Shipar's public statements, the Anthropic team had actually been meaning to take this detection code down for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the hidden logic was officially rolled back from the software as of July 1st.
Got it. But the word that absolutely dominates this entire conflict is distillation. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because distillation isn't just like casual copying.
No, it's a lot more advanced than that.
Right. It's not someone copying and pasting a few lines of code. It's basically like a world-renowned master chef spending years and billions of dollars perfecting a complex recipe. Yeah.
Okay, tracking with you.
And a rival junior chef sets up a pipeline to continuously buy the dish, chemically reverse engineer the exact ingredients, and then feed that data directly into a machine that produces an identical copy of the dish at a fraction of the cost.
That is a great analogy. And the stakes are actually much higher and far more automated than a recipe, because in artificial intelligence, extracting a competitor's capabilities is an existential threat to the entire business model.
Because of the cost of training them initially.
Exactly. Training a cutting-edge frontier language model like Claude 3 Opus takes staggering amounts of computing power, vast, highly curated data sets, and, hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure.
It's a massive investment.
Right, and distillation, as defined in our sources, bypasses all of that foundational work.
Well, let's break down how that actually functions mathematically. Because you have a massive teacher model, like Claude, and then a smaller student model that lacks those advanced reasoning capabilities.
Right. And to bridge that gap without spending millions on compute and human feedback, you use distillation. You take the smaller, less capable student model, and you train it using the outputs from the more powerful teacher model.
So you prompt the advanced model with incredibly complex edge cases, like coding problems, logic puzzles, high-level reasoning tasks.
Exactly. You capture the genius AI's step-by-step reasoning, and you use those millions of high-quality outputs as the synthetic ground truth to adjust the neural weights of your beginner AI.
You're literally mathematically siphoning the intelligence out of the multi-million-dollar model and injecting it into your own.
Yeah.
You extract the competitor's capabilities without doing any of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And when we say millions of interactions, the sources indicate an operation of just unprecedented scale.
The numbers are staggering.
Yeah. According to a Juneteenth letter that Anthropic sent to U.S. Senators Tim Scott and Elizabeth Warren, and the details of this were confirmed by CNBC, Anthropic is accusing Alibaba-affiliated operators of executing the largest known distillation campaign ever documented against their systems.
And the sheer volume detailed in that letter to the Senate puts that obfuscated experiment into a very different context. Anthropic alleged that operators tied specifically to Alibaba's Quinn AI lab utilized roughly 25,000 fraudulent accounts.
Wait, 25,000 accounts.
Right.
Think about the infrastructure required just to spin up and maintain 25,000 separate authenticated accounts on a premium AI platform.
It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, that requires massive proxy networks to bypass IP bans, automated email verification systems, and, payment evasion schemes just to bypass the rate limits.
And through that highly sophisticated infrastructure of 25,000 accounts, these operators allegedly carried out nearly 28.8 million interactions with the Claude models.
28.8 million.
Yes. And all this reportedly occurred within a remarkably tight window between April 22nd and June 5th.
So almost 29 million complex prompts in about 6 weeks. You cannot execute that manually.
Not a chance.
That is a highly automated industrial-scale extraction pipeline. If you calculate the API costs and the server time required to process 29 million advanced queries, you are looking at a massive financial drain on Anthropic's infrastructure.
All while their intellectual property is allegedly being strip-mined.
Exactly.
So when you view Anthropic's XOR encrypted detection code through the lens of a 29 million prompt extraction operation, the defensive logic becomes pretty clear.
Right. They felt like they were under attack.
They were facing a sophisticated barrage of automated interactions meant to siphon their core technology, allegedly coming from a heavily resourced rival AI lab.
So they deployed obfuscated countermeasures because they were actively trying to identify and block the specific network architecture driving that attack without alerting the operators.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, we have to look at the reality of deploying those countermeasures.
Yeah.
Because you have Alibaba, this massive enterprise with strict internal security protocols, discovering that a trusted vendor software is running secret malware-style scripts to scan its developers' environments.
Yeah, it's a huge breach of trust from their perspective.
So what does this all mean? We have Anthropic claiming they were the victims of an unprecedented distillation campaign, and Alibaba pointing to this hidden code as an unacceptable security risk.
Yeah.
How is this standoff actually playing out in the tech world?
Well, the immediate enterprise fallout was swift and decisive. As we noted at the beginning, Alibaba moved to ban Claude code.
Right.
Now, strictly adhering to our sources, Alibaba has not publicly confirmed the ban themselves via official corporate channels. However, the internal dynamics were thoroughly reported by the Chinese financial outlet Yekai.
Right. And Yekai reported that Alibaba cited embedded backdoor risks as the direct reason for the prohibition. And frankly, put yourself in the shoes of Alibaba's chief information security officer.
Oh, it'd be a nightmare.
Right. If your enterprise dev team had a third-party tool pulling an XOR encrypted network scan on local machines, you would incinerate that vendor contract by lunch.
Yeah.
They aren't leaving their developers empty-handed, though. The company has reportedly pivoted immediately, recommending an alternative in-house coding tool for its employees called Coder.
And that rapid pivot to Coder perfectly illustrates the fracturing of the global tech ecosystem. We have to view both of these narratives neutrally because they represent the deeply held structural realities of the modern technology landscape.
It's two completely valid but completely opposed viewpoints.
Exactly. On one hand, Anthropic's argument is rooted in fundamental intellectual property survival. They frame their actions as a necessary defensive posture against an aggressive extraction pipeline.
Right.
They're arguing that when a competitor spins up 25,000 fake accounts to strip mine your neural network weights, standard terms of service compliance checks are useless. You have to employ sophisticated, stealthy detection methods to protect the hundreds of millions of dollars invested in your models.
They see it as locking the doors and setting up tripwires against an army of digital burglars.
Exactly.
But then, look at Alibaba's framing. From an enterprise security perspective, the steganographic detection code, the invisible Unicode, the XOR encryption, is an astronomical overreach.
It's a massive red flag.
It is covert surveillance, plain and simple. If you are operating a massive tech conglomerate, you cannot allow third-party software to run hidden scripts that map your network configurations, scan your proxy routing, and report that data back to a foreign company. It is a critical supply chain vulnerability.
It shatters the fundamental baseline of trust required to deploy third-party tools within a secure environment.
Right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this episode highlights something profoundly important for anyone paying attention to the global technology sector. We are witnessing a rapidly accelerating balkanization over access, infrastructure, and intellectual property between U.S. and Chinese AI companies.
We're seeing the creation of two entirely separate, deeply paranoid technology stacks. The zero-trust environment isn't just a theoretical cybersecurity buzzword anymore, It's the architectural reality of how software is being built and deployed right now.
It is, and this raises an important question regarding the dual nature of modern software. We have entered a new era where the very tools developers rely on to build the future, these miraculous AI coding assistants that multiply productivity, are simultaneously viewed as essential infrastructure and potential Trojan horses.
That dual identity is incredibly difficult to reconcile on a daily basis. I mean, the assistant writing your boilerplate code might be a spy mapping your network. And the platform providing that assistant might be getting its underlying intelligence ruthlessly siphoned by a rival lab.
It's a mess.
It completely changes how you interact with the software you install on your machine. Let's do a quick recap of the journey we just went on, because the technical and geopolitical scale of this is wild.
It really is. We started with a lone digital forensic analysis by legit Michael777 on Reddit, who basically cracked open a routine software update and uncovered XOR encrypted steganography.
Right, a hidden script actively profiling for Chinese time zones and specific AI lab network proxies.
Exactly. And that forensic discovery forced Anthropic to publicly admit to deploying a defensive experiment, which in turn revealed their accusations of a staggering distillation campaign.
We are talking about 25,000 automated accounts and nearly 28.8 million sophisticated prompts allegedly tied to Alibaba's Quen lab, all designed to strip mine the intelligence of the Claude model.
And this all culminated in Alibaba decisively banning the tool from their corporate environments, citing backdoor security risks, which highlights a massive geopolitical clash over artificial intelligence, intellectual property, and enterprise privacy.
It really leaves you with a lot to unpack regarding the future of software development. I want to leave you listening right now with this final thought to ponder as you log into your own workstations today.
It's a big one.
If the cutting-edge AI assistants we rely on to write our software, analyze our data, and build our applications are secretly running mathematically obfuscated logic to monitor exactly who we are and what networks we operate on, and rival companies are simultaneously using massive automated botnets to strip mine the neural brains of those very same assistants, how will the global tech community ever establish a baseline of trust in the software that is supposed to build our future?
It's a question we're all going to have to answer soon.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Keep questioning the technology you rely on every day, and we'll see you next time.